should be here. You should be covering the,
He's here.
Here it is.
Okay, you ready, Joe, in terms of the
Yes.
camera? All right, we're calling to order the meeting of the Ojai City Arts Commission, and this is Thursday, November the 21st. And we will start with the roll call, if you would, please, Mr. Fiss.
Thank you, Chair Addison.
Yes, here. Sorry. I thought that was just a thank you, but yes, I am here. Sort of, yeah.
That's here.
Commissioner Golden. Here. Commissioner Zarger. Absent. Commissioner Golden.
Here.
Commissioner Harmon.
Here.
Commissioner Steele. Absent.
Okay, we'll move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. I will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone here from the public who wishes to make any comments? Apparently not. We'll move on to consent items, and that is the set of minutes that were emailed to all of you. Are there any comments or corrections to the minutes? Andy?
Just one piece, and I already mentioned this to Joe, and that is, if you look at,
Is your microphone turned on? Make sure it is, please.
if you look at, let's say C, for example, and you see A's, no's, absent, and abstain, Nigel was absent. So I don't know if we include those absences or not.
That should be included.
Yeah, great.
That'll be
Okay.
a correction.
No big deal.
And noted. But let me just note that I'm sure the commission has noticed two things. One was that we sent the agendas via email, and if anyone has a request for a hard copy, I'll provide hard copies as requested. Secondly, I've changed the format of the agenda a little bit, trying to get all of the commissions to have a consistent format of their agendas. So it's all the same information, all the required information, but it's just in a little different format, cleaned up format. Because it looks a little different, we kind of got a little off cycle. So
Okay.
item number 3 would be public comment, where we would invite the public to speak.
Right.
And I don't believe that there were any speaker cards.
That's what I called for public comment.
Okay, okay.
There wasn't any. That's
I was-
why I moved
Okay, I
on.
was getting settled in and
moved
looking
on
at
to the
the
minutes.
agenda myself.
I think we're there.
Okay, so, and we just,
I have a comment.
we have one correction.
Okay, and Christine, you have a comment?
I do. I have two. And one is, it is so wonderful to have written minutes of this kind of descriptive quality that I really want to thank you for that. I was sorely missing having minutes like this. And I would ask that on page 3 of 4 at the top, where it says, you really have to go in between page 2 and 3, the bottom of page 2, where it says, I continued by proposing the idea of painting the utility boxes located at Libby Park, and then there should be in there, and on the corner of Ojai Avenue and Ventura, just so that the record is complete.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, and we have Luis to thank for the minutes. He did a great job.
Joe, I don't know if you mailed them to me. I don't see it.
Okay, I
Just-
will print you a copy.
Yeah, you don't have to print it now, but I will just make sure. I do want a copy eventually.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I will send
And
it
next
to you.
time.
Okay, we can move on now to item number 5 on the agenda, which is the disclosure of site visits and ex parte comments. Are there any such to disclose?
Agenda.
No.
What does ex parte comments mean?
Contact.
Contacts with people who are
Agenda.
involved in our work. Is that correct, Joe? Is that the way
That
to
is
define
correct.
it?
If there was an item on the agenda and a commissioner had a meeting with an applicant, for example, outside of this process, that would be an ex parte meeting.
Okay,
So
so
I
just
have
meetings?
one such to report. and that is I had a conversation with someone from the Foundation on the Hill, I forget,
Happy Valley.
Happy Valley Foundation.
Can you put your microphone?
Sorry. I had a telephone conversation with a representative of the Happy Valley Foundation to discuss some aspects of the grant request from Music on the Mount, or whatever it's called. So that's Chamber on the Mount.
Chamber on the Mount.
So that's the one ex parte comment that I've had. Anybody else?
No.
Okay, we can move on then to the major items of our agenda, and the first of which is the grant allocations. We've had our session where we discussed the grants and had presentations by various applicants, so now it's the rubber hits the road.
Can I call
Yeah.
point of order?
Yes, point of order.
I see there's a number 5 on our agenda, disclosure of site visits and ex parte.
That's what we just did.
I thought we were just doing the consent items, what that meant.
No, I just did that when I discussed the contact I had.
So I'm more confused than anybody else.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay. All right, well, that's par for the course.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's all right. We will move on. So Marcy, I'm turning over to you in terms of moving forward to allocate when we get to that grant.
Okay, so we don't have the eraser board.
Mm-hmm.
We've evolved into the
Oh, look at that.
Different
Yeah.
process.
21st century, so it's all gonna be up there in real time. And those are our initials, so each column will be what we recommend for each particular grant.
Pretty cool.
And then we'll talk amongst ourselves, and then we'll take some, add some, and come up with grants totaling $27,500. So I think I think we're all we've lived with these grants for a while, so rather than do a little spiel about the grants in the interest of time, unless anyone has a question about a particular grant, then we can, maybe we'll just go through each grant, say, does anyone have any questions about Beatrice Wood Center for the Arts? No, okay. And then go down like that, and then we can give our recommendations.
Good.
How's that sound?
Sounds
good.
great.
I have like a general question, but maybe this is the wrong time.
Go ahead.
Okay, so when I've done things like this in the past, there's one way of approaching it is to say, well, let's give everybody something, and if you were to split it actually in 8, most people would get what they asked for, but not some. So that's one way of approaching the situation. The other is to say, well, let's say hypothetically you thought 2 were the least worthy, hypothetically. Then you would say give them 0. Then you would apply that to the rest. So I guess my question is, I don't know how you've done it in the past, how you've thought about it.
The second way. We've done it the second way.
The second way, okay.
It gives us flexibility, and then we get to, like, it's like it's a value judgment, what we determine to be worthwhile projects for Ojai.
Yeah.
And then the potential artists and applicants and all that can see where our heads are at, what
Yeah.
we're interested in. Otherwise, you just,
And I think what
Yeah.
Marcy just said in terms of the value to Ojai is really an important factor. I
Yeah.
think one of our primary considerations is what impact is this grant going to have? How many people would it impact?
That's how I was thinking about it,
In
too.
what sense will it really be of value to the community?
Yeah,
Right. And in the past, there's always been an emphasis on a value to the city because it's city funds.
yeah. I get that.
Yep,
I was really thinking about it also in just the number of people. How many people is
Absolutely.
it coming to? That makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's helpful.
okay, so let's start with Beatrice Wood Center, now it's gonna be children and family members art project every weekend.
Right.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, let's move on to the Brian Berman's project, the Peace Poles. Questions? Happy Valley Fund, questions?
I have questions.
Yes, Linda?
Do you want to bring up this
yeah,
conversation?
the Happy Valley request, the question I have is the consequence of the conversation that I had which led me to understand that this organization is a subordinate part of the Happy Valley Foundation. And they were not notified, or nor did they participate in any way in the formulation of this grant. It was done independently, without consultation about the overarching body that is really the owner of the organization, if you will, and without any consultation in terms of what their immediate plans are, or their long-range, or actually fairly short-range plans. So I think there are questions about that lead me to have doubts.
So this is kind of a rogue grant?
Well, I wouldn't call it a rogue, but I would say that, when you're dealing with an organization of the size and stature and complexity of what happens up there on the hill, it seems to me for an offshoot to sort of break out and look to do something without consultation is very problematic.
And I thought the email that we received later suggested that the larger organization has changed priorities, so that's where the request is coming from. Did I get that correctly?
I think the larger organization is in the process of evolving, is the way I would put it. And again, that is what causes me to think that this is disjunct from that. Yeah.
Cut back, and they're an independent entity. So I guess if they're considering themselves to be independent in a sense, then I can see why they wouldn't have involved the umbrella
but I don't
organization.
think they are, in fact, independent.
No, and there's a problem with
That's
that.
the problem.
Okay, this is wordsmithing?
Yep.
Okay, well, I agree with that. Okay.
Yeah.
I move that we just get rid of that grant. I think there's too many problems involved with it, and we have clean grants that we can grant.
You want to make a motion?
I so move.
I will second that.
Okay.
What is the motion? I'm sorry.
That we not consider this grant at the time and send it back and see if we can work with the larger organization in the future. Am I stating the
That's perfect.
motion?
So in effect, the motion is to eliminate it.
Yeah,
Yes.
This year.
Or when you just say, we're going to grant it 0?
yeah,
We're going to grant it 0.
yeah, essentially, yeah.
Okay.
All right, and we need a vote?
Yes.
Any further discussion on this?
I'm gonna
All in
agree.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's
Sadly,
unanimous.
aye.
Okay, we can move on to the next grant.
OPAT, Ojai Performing Arts Theater, questions?
Nope.
Ojai Studio Artists, questions?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. Is that okay to do comment? Okay.
Absolutely.
If I read it correctly, it sounds as though we're being asked to give them money so that they can hire a marketing consultant.
That's right.
And I think this is another one where I don't know how it matches our mission or our goals. And I would vote to give them, not to do this.
Well, the ordinance specifically states that it's not to be used for, operating expenses and all of that. And marketing and publicity and, expenses related to a project we are funding are permitted.
Right.
But the project is basically to create a marketing plan.
Right.
Which does not, although ultimately, they say it will impact and help the prestige and the, interest in the second Saturday tours for the artists, ultimately, but there's nothing really, that's their mission, and it's been growing crazy as is.
Yeah.
Without some kind of fancy marketing plan. I think they're doing a fantastic job, and the Ojai Studio Artist Tour this year was,
No.
no.
This is,
Studio artist.
we
Ojai
passed that
Studio
one already.
Artists.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is not a time for public questions. I'm sorry.
Ojai Studio Artists.
Yeah.
Studio.
Could one argue or put forward an argument that if we fund the publicity vein of this organization, then should we not be funding all publicity veins of all art organizations. It just seems very problematic to me.
That I think would be a very slippery slope, I agree. And also,
Slippery slope.
That's, I was gonna say
they're
slippery.
suggesting that they want to advertise in these
LA.
throwaway magazines that come out once a month. And they're so jam-packed with ads for real estate
Yeah.
and such that I just think that would be a futility, quite apart from the point you make.
Yeah.
That,
There's nothing visible for us to see, like,
no,
we
right.
do peace polls, the kids, we enjoy the peace polls.
Yeah.
You know, we fund Harvey, we get to enjoy Harvey, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
the marketing thing, we're enjoying their marketing plan,
No.
And I agree with Marcy that it's completely against what the grant
The
specifically
grants are not for
says.
that, right.
And
Now,
I
if they-
wondered when they applied.
Yeah, if
but-
they had another project and there were some incidental marketing costs, yes, then we
That's
would do
different,
it.
yeah.
But the purpose of this is for a marketing program, so,
And they have brought very nice grants to us in the past.
Yeah.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
we've approved.
For their
Right.
scholarship program and youth program and things like that.
So does anyone want to?
No, I agree 100%. That was a big concern for me. Also, the dollar amount is so low.
Yeah.
And I've seen lots of marketing consultants that are terrible. So it just, I mean, to place an ad like in an LA magazine is thousands.
Yeah.
So it's not really a plan. So it's the
Well,
beginning.
I would move that we not consider this grant for these
Second.
reasons.
You seconded?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a second from Andy?
Andy?
Oh, I second, sure.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
All right,
Okay,
moving along.
moving on.
Ojai Valley Music Festival. Questions?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. Ray Powers, Grant, Christine.
I
The
have no-
mural.
Yep, no
Yeah.
questions.
I have no questions.
I have questions. How were they proceeding with that? Because I know there was some back and forth on who was involved, who was going to complete, who's on the team and all that. I'd like to know if that's been resolved before.
That's in the works. I think that we have to be very careful. What Linda's talking about is that after the grant was submitted, there was a difference of opinion between the grant writer and one of the members of the team. And to me, if Brian Berman, who runs the Ojai Storybook Telling Festival,
Bemmel.
if one of his performers,
Bemmel.
Berman, if one of his, I always get the two of names mixed up, performers that for some reason had dropped out, that we wouldn't micromanage that. When we award the grant, we're awarding it to the grant writer, and we're showing confidence that we believe that grant writer can carry the project forward. And I will tell you that, and I heard about this from Ray Powers, who wrote the grant, before it came to other people's attention. So I'd already talked to him and assured him that as long as he had a team with some mural expertise, that there would be no reason why he had to stick to this exact lineup of artists that he had asked about it early on. But he was worried, and as it turns out, that artist has jumped back on board. But that doesn't mean that artist could jump off again, but I don't think we can micromanage and decide a grant based on. We have to have faith in Ray, who has conducted many community activities that involve multiple people, and he's done it successfully. And he's contacted someone with this artist that was wishy-washy about it, does not have mural experience. She has other experience, but not mural experience. He now has identified an artist with mural experience at my suggestion. We also do not know at this point whether or not this grant will have to go before all of us with a mural application. The mural ordinance is back in the hands of the lawyer, because James and Joe and I have gone over the first rundown by the lawyer. Now it's gone back to him. Then it's going to come back again. So January, February is what we're looking at when it will finally come to us, for us saying yes, because I don't think it should go to city council before we have a final look at it. There were all kinds of things that had been changed pretty unbelievable things that had been changed. And, we wanted to match what we all agreed on. So if they have to come back, and we don't know that because one of the things that's being added to the mural ordinance is, we think, exemptions, just like the public art ordinance has exemptions. And if it does include exemptions, this building would be exempt and they wouldn't have to come back. But let's say that they do. Whatever we award tonight, I think it should be contingent upon, I don't know how to word it without sounding like a novel, but somehow be contingent on them appearing before the Arts Commission and going through the mural ordinance process, application process, if necessary. I know it's so complicated.
No, I think that's pretty straightforward. I think if we award them the grant, and then they're going to have to put in the necessary paperwork to the city, and if
To
the mural,
us.
to us, and the mural ordinance would apply. So I think it's very straightforward.
Okay.
So let's
So-
go
Can I say
forward. Yeah,
Okay.
Linda.
I do want to bring up a point was, I think the concern was, we approved this idea, but we really haven't seen the basic plan, and it sounded like there was some problems with the plan. So I'm glad,
The
because I
the
thought,
plan is in there, and
I
it's even
think
got a
it's all-
photo, it's even got a painting of what it'll look like.
yeah, but you
So
told me that wasn't.
specific.
I didn't think that was exact. Anyway.
It
I'm
is.
glad that you're working it out.
It
That's
is,
great.
yeah.
And I don't think it sounds too confusing to ask them to
Oh,
do that.
thank
and
you,
they need
Linda,
to-
because I feel like it's
Absolutely.
confusing.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
no, it won't
Okay.
be.
All right, so last grant, if there are any questions, the townies. The townies project with Kim Maxwell, no?
Well, I have one question, and the thing that bothers
Oh,
me
and this was
about it.
Sammy's too, this was her
Yeah,
grant.
the thing that bothers me about it is that she's requesting $10,000. This is for one person to be worked with to develop a one-person show and 6 performances. That's very pricey. So I have serious questions about, just in terms of the amount of money. I don't question the value of the project. I think, what Kim Maxwell has done in terms of generating that process in her studio is marvelous and unique, and I want to support that, but the cost on this is what bothers
I
me.
agree.
I gave it a big haircut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
I did too.
Well, I want to comment on that, just in terms of how many grants we have and what everyone's asked for. And by eliminating the Happy Valley and the Ojai Studio Artists, we have enough money to give all the grants their full amount and $7,380 to Kim Maxwell. And then we will have spent all our funds.
But I have a question about that. I looked at it and I was concerned because I do think that's too much to give the studio. They got 4,000 last year and I think they got something before that. And I'm just thinking 10,000 is a lot, so just at that one grant. And then I had a question. There's no reason we have to award, I'd love to award full grants to the people we think are worthy, but there's no reason we have to use all this money just
No,
because
that's
we're
right.
giving it.
I thought, does it carry over? Do we
No,
use it or
but-
lose
oh,
it?
We lose it.
We lose it.
Yeah.
But does this send a message if we don't use it all?
No, I don't think
think
so.
so.
It says we're doing our job. We don't want to throw money at something that isn't.
We would give it back to city.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's,
Could we
And you
ask,
don't think
could we
that would
ask
have
Sousa
repercussions?
Francina to comment
just a
on
minute.
whether?
Joe, could you answer this question for us? The money was allocated by the city as a consequence of our budget request, which itemized areas. So if we don't spend all the money in one area, can we transfer it to other areas? Or are we locked into expending the money only within the area that we requested it for?
We could theoretically do a budget transfer within this year's budget.
Okay,
However, we could not increase it.
Good.
We could request that budget transfer. I can't guarantee that would be approved.
But we could request it.
But this dollar amount has been budgeted for this commission.
right. So
Although
given
it
that,
was
it seems to
earmarked
me
for-
it's
for-
appropriate then for us to consider not necessarily awarding all of this money, and instead asking for a budget transfer, perhaps to a new program that we want to initiate in the next calendar year to
Or
get it.
something
Or
that
something
we didn't get
wasn't
money
Or
for?
something that wasn't funded, exactly.
Probably would not be for the next
no,
well,
it would-
calendar year, not
It would be
not
this.
fiscal year.
This fiscal year.
Fiscal year would be
Yeah.
the next calendar year.
But, I mean, some of the things that we requested were not funded, so we might be able to flesh out. Acquisitions, for example, being one of them.
And the reason that we have the excess is because 2 of the grant applicants don't qualify for grants.
That's right.
Correct.
According to what we've decided already.
Correct. I don't think it's problematic.
Good.
There's probably just a procedure we need to,
Okay,
we need to
great.
go through.
Well, in that case, then we're awarding,
We need to go through now and decide how
Go
much we're
through.
awarding to each one.
because, so that's a 0.
How much do you think would be reasonable for the townies, Grant Michael and Linda, since you,
What is everyone thinking in terms of the townies grant, in terms of a dollar amount?
Well, I would think maximum half of what they've requested
the
for
That's
myself.
exactly what I
I would
did.
think
That's what I put
5,000
down,
would
too.
be about
That's so funny.
appropriate.
Really?
you okay with that, Linda?
No, I gave them 3,000 and they got 4,000 last year, so.
Well, the first thing I did was I said, well, if everybody got what they asked, if everybody split more or less evenly, that was my first thought, which is more or less 3,500-ish. And then my second scenario was the 2 that we pulled out were the 2 that I pulled out. So then everybody gets what they need, but I wrote 7380, which gives us our total.
That was what I did.
Yeah, that's what he said. But then I do agree that in terms of the impact on the community, the number of people involved, it's less impactful than some of the others that are asking for less.
Right,
Less bang for our buck.
yeah.
Right? So half seems reasonable to me.
But OPAD only asked for 3,500, and
Right.
they're doing
Right.
a play with all those people, and they have a lot of expenses.
I hear what you're saying.
And how many shows are they having?
But we can't
I think.
modify it
we-
and give them more.
I think it would be.
No, I'm
in
not
a-
asking to
yeah.
give them more, I'm just saying,
The
I don't
relative
know
value,
that
the relative value,
value to
yeah.
this is
But
that
it seems to me
high.
part of it, though, is what's
No,
being
it's
asked
never
for.
going to be exact. I mean,
Right.
because of the nature of the different events and the
True,
audience that
true.
they're appealing
Well-
to.
I agree, yeah.
Why don't we decide on how much we're going to give to the townies, and then everyone else could get the full amount they asked for, and then we'll have some left over.
Well,
'Cause
I would say 5 for the townies would be
That's what I
mine.
said.
That's what
I
I'm
think a
saying.
lot of us.
Linda,
seem-
you want to say 4?
I want to say 3, but I'll go
Oh.
to 4 if everybody thinks that they
Well, if we
need 4.
averaged all the, what do
That's
you
still
say,
more than
Andy?
most
No,
people are getting.
I start off by saying 5, but 4 is not objectionable to me, but
No, 4 would be okay with me, and we'd have more
4
money
would
to
be
carry
okay
over
with me.
then.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So,
should we make a motion for 4?
Well, we have to look at the whole roster, don't we?
So
Everybody else
where
is
are we
getting their
at
request.
if we give them 4, and we give everybody else exactly what they wanted?
And then
where are
we have
at?
left over
I'll be at 25.
3380?
something like that.
What?
We certainly take questions from our city council representative, if you'd care to come up to the
I
microphone.
hear you say that if you think someone,
Is your mic on?
I
think it is.
what do I do?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, go
sounds
ahead,
like it
sorry.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Okay. Did I hear you say that if you think a project should receive more money, but you cannot grant it because they didn't apply for them, and maybe their thinking was modest, thinking that they could get, maybe there's no way, no mechanism, no
No, we could,
exception?
can't we?
No.
Well, I don't think we could for one simple reason. I think it's unfair to the other applicants if we single something out and give it more money when other applicants have scrupulously presented a budget and
No, we
what their
Right.
request would
Yes,
be. and-
but some of those applicants you're reducing.
No, in this case, we're not going to be reducing.
No, but other,
Yeah,
I'm just saying, by the same token, if you can reduce, why can't you increase?
Well, I could come up with another reason. We ask in our application process for the applicant to specify exactly how they're going to use that money.
I see.
And if we just start awarding to this one more, to this one more, we really don't
Well,
know how they would, it really would mess with our application process. And I think it would set a precedent that would be very difficult for us to
Okay.
manage.
And Susan, I work on another grants committee,
Uh-huh.
and we have to adhere to the terms of the grant application.
Yeah, okay.
It's like
Okay.
etched in stone when they submit it, and we can't
Makes
modify it or anything.
Okay, and they're aware of that,
Yes.
that it's better
And
to
and
ask.
this, we've never
too
had
much
this
and too
before. This
little.
is very unusual.
Yeah,
We've
yeah,
never
that's
had
why I'm
this.
just asking
I
something.
would also say, we, as a grant writer also,
Uh-huh.
is to ask for what you need. So be really clear about what you
Yeah,
are asking
yeah.
for, and
Yeah.
and so in a way you're making a guess about what you think they're going to give, but you're also trying to be honest about what you really need.
I see,
Yeah,
yeah. Thank you very much.
sure.
Thank you, Susan.
So,
Okay, so as I understand it, then what we're saying is that we're going to award what has been
Right.
requested
Mhm.
by all of the grants except the townies. We're going to award 4,000 to that,
Mhm.
and we're not awarding anything to Ojai Studio Artists or to the Happy Valley Fund,
Correct.
Correct.
correct?
Yep.
I move that that's what we approve.
I second.
Any discussion? All in
Well,
What
the
it-
only discussion I would have was that I think that following this motion should be a motion that specifies the amount left over and that we will formally ask for it to be allocated
that's
somewhere
after
else to
this.
follow
Let's
this,
pass
so
this
that that's
motion.
not lost.
Let's
No.
vote on this motion, then we can do
Two
that.
motions would be better.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
so.
I think
it's
a
been-
roll call vote on this motion, if
Yes.
you would, please.
You've got
Chair
all your
Addison?
money.
Addison,
Yeah.
I found you.
Yes.
Vice Chair Tosher,
Yes, all of your money.
Commissioner Gilman,
Yes.
Commissioner Golden,
Yes.
Commissioner Harmon.
Yes.
Okay, and now I make another motion that we formally request the city to allow a budget transfer for the remaining funds in this category,
In the amount
33.80.
of
in the amount of, and Joe can
33.80.
figure that out.
3380.
33.
It's 33, yeah. Do we have to, Joe, do we have to specify where we want to use that? Because I know we did not get money for acquisitions, and I would put it out that way, that
You
because,
could,
you
and that
know,
would probably be best to
Then let's do
specify it.
that. Then I modify my motion to include that. Thank you, Christine.
I have a question, though. Do
Yes,
we have
Linda?
enough for the brochure? Do you have enough to do that?
Yes, because that comes
Yes,
from
we
public
do.
funds.
because that's coming from Public Art Fund,
Okay, I just
Yeah,
want,
she's
So
good.
that's
We're good.
allowable expense from the
Yes.
Public Art Fund.
Okay,
And
We're
again, the
good.
budget transfers if possible.
yeah. Okay, so is there a second for that motion to the budget
I second it.
transfer? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Fabulous.
Okay.
Woo-hoo.
You're abstaining?
Nah.
Good job.
Good job.
Okay, well done, Marcy, thank you.
Hmm?
No, no
No.
questions.
See you guys.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Yes, he's got listen.
No necessity.
Oh, no.
Just going to have to come back on.
Yeah.
You're good. We're looking forward to it.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a glass, I'll put it here.
Okay,
No
where's the
problem.
agenda? I've lost my agenda.
Thank you. Good, great to see you.
Bye, guys.
is this it?
No, yes, it is, okay. All right, we're moving on to the Lifetime Achievement Award. And you all have had a stack of information about possible nominees. You've been asked to give that some thought.
Yep.
And I think one way to begin the discussion would be to have each of us, as we go around the room, say who you would most like to see get the award. And if we have some correlation, then we can build on that. If not, then we'll have to go through a sifting process. So let's start off on my left. Linda, who would you prefer to see?
They're all great names. I wish I could have three. Guy Jones and Lisa Savingeau. Are the two I have.
Okay. Marcy,
I want Guy Jones.
Who are you saying?
Guy Jones,
Oh, Guy.
Theater.
Gay.
Gay Jones, yeah. Christine, do you have anyone in mind?
Oh, I thought Mercy was doing it. Was that the All Mercy?
She said,
I want Gay
we're
Jones.
just asking for one. Just
Oh, you're just asking
at
for
this
one?
point, just
Yeah.
one, yeah.
If you can.
Okay.
Just to start the
If you
discussion.
can. Linda gave two.
I'll just give one back, I'll take mine back.
Okay, which one would you be your top
I
choice?
guess I'll do Guy Jones.
Guy Jones, Guy Jones. Christine, do you have a top choice?
No, I don't.
Well, then tell us who you like.
I'd like to hear, for me to do that, I would like to hear how that person meets the 4 criteria that we've set up, and then I would know.
We sent all the information for you to look at.
No, I know that. That's their bio and whatever.
Well, Gay
but-
has a national reputation to begin with as a theater educator.
So
She's
she does have a national.
absolutely, she's an officer, in fact, of the National Organization of Theater Educators. She leads workshops all over the country. Her work has been lauded by the school where she was a teacher for a number of years. In fact, the theater building in that school is named after her now. She's been heavily engaged in theater here in Ojai, in the Ojai Art Center, where currently the production of Zeusical is about to open with her under her direction, and it's one of a series of productions that she has directed, all of which are based upon the principle of intergenerational casting. That is to say, casting both adults and children to induct children into the theater and to infuse them with enthusiasm and to make them understand how gratifying and rewarding that can be. So I think in every respect, one could say that she fulfills the criteria.
And one of the criteria is demonstrated community involvement within the
Well,
Ojai.
that with the Ojai Art Center is what she's done for
Okay.
years and years and
Every
years.
year,
Yeah.
she does at least one
Yeah.
production, sometimes
Yeah.
2.
And right now, she's doing Seussical.
Yeah. Andy, do
she's
you have
the
a
Zeusical?
choice?
I came up with 4 people, but she's one of them, so I happily would do that. 100%. And there wasn't 4 equal people for me.
Yeah,
She's great.
I would too.
And I've been talking to people around town.
Mm-hmm.
She's highly
They don't
regarded.
hesitate.
Absolutely.
So she deserves this recognition.
I agree 100%.
Is there someone who'd like to make a motion that we approve Gay Jones for the Lifetime Achievement Award of 2019?
I move we select Gay Jones as our 2019 Lifetime Achievement honoree.
Second.
I second. Oh,
Nope, go ahead.
I second.
Okay, we have multiple seconds. Andy seconded. And all in favor, please.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
discussion?
No, I'm happy
Okay,
about this.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved unanimously.
I would like to echo what Linda said, though, which is there's many, many people
Oh,
that
yeah.
were
Oh, yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
That'll be for future years.
the challenge, yeah.
Yeah.
May I make a suggestion, Chair
Please.
Addison? Because of the criteria for lifetime achievement in the arts, I would like to suggest that there are some people in the packet who would, and we've talked about this before, but we've never really done it, move those names onto a list for the Hope Fraser Award. For example, Brett Bradigan. I think that he would be wonderful to have moved off of Lifetime onto Hope Fraser
That's a
Award.
great
That
idea.
meets that criteria.
That's a great idea.
And I think another one is River Savageau. That would be Hope Fraser Award,
Yes,
because it's
yes.
primarily community involvement. Could we do that, and then?
Yes,
maybe-
Marcy and I will undertake that as the
Okay,
awards
thank
committee.
you. I appreciate
And we'll sort that out, yeah.
Thank you
Yeah,
for the
that's a very good
consideration.
idea.
I agree.
Good idea.
I agree.
Okay, let's move on to item D, which is the utility box project. Christine?
Oh, I am so excited.
I
have,
I think we skipped C. Did we
Worked
skip
now with,
Art Committee?
I'm sorry.
I believe we skipped C, Public Art Committee report.
Yeah, I guess that's where we are.
Oh, okay, C first.
Yeah,
right,
see
that's
first.
easy.
Report on
So
the
I'll talk
public.
about the brochure.
Okay.
Okay, so, which is what I thought you asked me about, so I was ready to do
That's
that. It's very exciting. I've met with Carlos Grasso and Colleen McDougall. Carlos Grasso is doing our layout, and I wish I could show you what he sent me. He sent me page 1, and it is so exciting what he's done, but he put on the top of the email "for your eyes only," because he's that kind of perfectionist. But I'm telling you, it's just delicious. And Colleen McDougall is busy working with Carlos on the cover and the map. And I am now almost ready. Andy Gilman is passing me a thumb drive, and I'm going to be loading onto the thumb drive the QR information so that anyone who scans our guide brochure will be taken right to what we call along the way, additional pieces along the way that, and we say it will lengthen your tour if you do this, but you can do it, and 2 additional tours. We call it the East City Tour and the West City Tour. There's over 40 pieces of public artwork, and we just couldn't do it all in one tour. So, but this is so exciting. I also met with Jamie Fleming from Chamber of Commerce. He had called me or contacted me to tell me that they are working on that's it?
That's it.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. That'll go on my Mac? Okay.
Yeah.
That they are working on their own brand-new map for vendors downtown, businesses. It's quite, merchants map, and it's really something to see the way they've done it. And he didn't know what we were doing, he just had heard a rumor, and he said, maybe, you can jump on board with our map. Well, when he saw what we have, he said, no. He says, this is not anything like what he thought, it was just numbers. We have all the information written out in the photographs. But he was so impressed with it that he said he would distribute our map when he distributes the downtown merchant map. So he'll be taking it to the inn, he'll be taking it around to all the businesses, and that's just like another load off.
That's terrific.
Now, here's what I want to ask you tonight. We don't meet in December, or I assume we're not going to. I'm sure that'll come up toward the end of our meeting. This is going to be ready long before our January meeting, and I don't want to hold it going to press for it to come back here for you to look at it. You've seen what it looks like. I would like the support of all of you that the ad hoc committee, which includes Sammy, so you've got somebody who does that kind of work, and myself, I also do copy editing, will be looking at it in addition to Connie Campbell and now watch me not be able to pull her name up, Jackie Clark, all of whom have an eye for detail. All will have looked at this, and I'm hoping to convince Michael that maybe Susan would be willing also to serve as a copy editor.
I'm sure
and that
she
with
would.
everyone's permission, that we can go ahead and order the print before that
Yes,
January
yes.
meeting.
That's what your committee's for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well,
Do it.
we'd never do anything without you guys saying okay. So I just want to make sure.
Okay, well, I will move formally then that the ad hoc committee has permission to
Take
go
this to the-
forward with the publication of
So excited.
that. Yes, we've
Yes.
already approved it, so.
Yes.
Is there a
And then-
second for that?
Yes,
I
Second?
second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
It's
Okay.
approved. Go forward. Next.
I am planning then, when the weather is wonderful, sometime in March, that I am going to conduct a docent-led tour and invite all the city council members, all the artists, all members of the ad hoc, all city commissioners. It should be a pretty large group. And I am asking city, because they need to have this anyway, and I got a very positive response, to go ahead and purchase a lapel loudspeaker system so that when they do events, you can be heard. And when I do a docent tour,
Like in a theater,
I can be heard.
that kind of a thing?
Uh-huh.
a mile away, I assure you.
If I get a hearing aid, that won't be true anymore.
Okay,
Because if I go
onward.
like this, I talk softer.
Onward.
Okay, anyway, so that I hope is going to work out really well, and that we would end up at one of our public art establishments that has room for us to have a post-tour little party.
Yeah.
So I think it'll
Yeah.
be really nice. So that's that. Should I go on to D?
Yes, please
Okay.
do.
Utility box project. I have communicated with Greg Grant, and he is on board and has asked that we'll have a meeting once we have a request for proposal in place, and he will go through that with me and make sure that the information that the city wants, such as an undercoating, an anti-graffiti top coating, anything else like that, cleanup of the box before anything begins, that'll all be coordinated with city. So it's just, I've also contacted Ventura to see if they would sit down and talk to me and kind of like, what did you learn as you've done this kind of thing? And so that's the next step for me as I am in the process of creating a rough draft of the RFP. That's
Okay,
it.
so public art jury, is that what we're up to now?
Oh, and then we have to talk about the public art jury, which, let me see, right, here we go here. So what my,
Excuse me, yes?
no,
Not really, no, that's out of order, but if the city council representative wishes to speak to us, that would be okay.
Okay, we were just wondering how you select the artists. Did we miss that? Is that part of the,
Hasn't happened yet. We're going to put out a request for proposal. Artists will then submit proposals. It's a standard procedure.
so what happens is a request for proposal will go out, and I'm hoping that it's going to go out like February-ish, and it will be due back. It includes an actual scale drawing of the utility box opened up and spread out, and the artist has to show us exactly what they're going to do on that box. Then there is a public art jury, which consists of 6 members of the public and 1 arts commissioner, and that was ordinance, in the ordinance to have that grouping. And that's what we're going to do now, is we're going to create a list of nominees for a public art jury that I'm hoping, that's the next thing I was going to ask, that Michael and Marcy will split that list up, because it's a lot of names, and they will contact those people to see whether or not they are interested and available in April. There will be 1 meeting of the public art jury. They will go through all the applications, and then they will recommend back to the Arts Commission if any of the boxes are what they think would be wonderful to have for that particular box. There are 4 total boxes that we're looking at right
oh,
now.
only 4 boxes?
There are 4 boxes owned by the city. At our last,
Okay, I'm like visioning
no,
this.
no, we're going small and we're going carefully, because this is our first project where we're actually spearheading a project that has nothing to do with development. So this is a first out of the gate for us on this. So we want to go small. And the other reason is because the other boxes we identified are owned by Caltrans. It takes forever to get permission to do. But city is going to help us start that process. And Edison, same thing. We have to go through a process of applying to Edison to do those boxes. There were some that owned by AT&T, and they absolutely forbid public art on their boxes. So we have more, and if this first round of 4 is successful, then we would come back here and ask the commission if they want to do a second round, if it's successful. But it will be a public art jury that recommends to the 7 of us from the applications that proposals that we receive.
Right. But you will ask Caltrans for the future?
Yes,
Yeah, because I think that's
And
a good
Edison.
idea, so we can have them on
Absolutely.
Ojai Avenue.
If
I
we
can
decide to
already
go
see
forward.
something
Yes.
by Carmen Elbar, whatever her, Elber, yeah. Because I commissioned a bicycle picture. I'll bring it. It'd be perfect.
We've seen it.
Yeah, the one past the arcade. Wouldn't that make a great box on Ojai Avenue?
Well,
these will be in
one
Libby
of the
Park.
things that we will look at when that will be in the request for proposal will be a suggestion. We don't ever want to put restraints on an artist,
Yeah.
but we may suggest that the location of the box may drive.
Yes, I love that.
And
yeah.
3 of these boxes are in Libby Park. 1 is near the children's playground, and 2 are actually on the path on the way that you walk toward the bowl. Behind the bleachers. And 1 of them is on Ventura Avenue near the corner of Ojai Avenue by the Oaks.
That's where I live. Right
Right
there.
where
I'll
you
pass
live.
it every day. Wonderful. Thank you.
I think it should just say, "Hi, Souza."
So does that answer your question?
And drafting the request for the proposal will be the work of the Public Art Committee. And that will be, the challenge there will be to set a framework and guidelines that allow for artistic freedom, but also prevent something that we think might be outrageously detrimental to, if you will, the spirit of Ojai.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's going
And
to be
there's,
a challenging balance to achieve.
yeah.
yeah.
And there's
this is-
fail-safes
these are
in, not just in the RFP itself, but the public art jury is the second line of, they don't have to accept any. If nothing is acceptable, then they come back and say, well, let's go broader, because this will go to Ojai Valley artists. And if we don't get anything back we like, then we can go broader. We can distribute the RFP beyond the Ojai Valley. And then the last line of defense, the final decision makers, are the 6 people here, because one person will be on that jury and will already be a forced choice, so to speak.
Yeah.
Their vote is in the pocket. So it'll be 6 of us.
Yeah, I hope you don't have to go beyond Ojai with all the artists that we have. We have so many artists. I would think that.
I have a feeling, when you look at the eggs that they do for the Ojai Valley, and
I
I
don't
have a
think we'll
feeling
have any
we'll get
trouble at all.
No, you won't have any
spectacular,
trouble. No.
spectacular.
Speaking of eggs, we
proposals.
could have
Yeah.
one with Bernadette's eggs. You know, those eggs she makes.
A lot of fun.
In the park, I mean, kids
Yeah.
like that, yeah. All right, thank you.
So I'm ready to, we could start at one end, if that's okay, Michael? May we
Please,
start
yeah,
over here?
please.
And just, I'm going to go by category, because that'll be easier for me to get this down. So the first category is arts professionals, one of whom must have public art experience. And again, this is all by ordinance, so we need 2.
Well, I don't know about the public art experience, but Hallie Katz and Leslie Clark. I was thinking
Okay,
of
not so
artists.
fast. Hallie Katz.
Hallie Katz, Leslie Clark,
Hallie Katz, Leslie Clark.
Elizabeth Hafner,
Okay, I don't know who that is. Will you spell the last name?
Hafner. She's the co-owner of Azu.
Okay, I'm having a hard time understanding what you're saying.
Hafner.
Hafner?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is she an artist too, though?
Yeah,
Yeah, she's the one that doesn't need jewelry, right?
yeah. So those would be for the professional artist part.
Okay, Marcy, for arts professionals.
Public art experts, right?
For artists, what do you look
One of them has to be a public art expert of the 2 art
Yeah,
professionals.
yeah, yeah, Barbara Hirsch,
Okay, I've already got her on my list.
and an artist, God, who did
No,
I?
this isn't an artist. These are arts
Oh, public art.
professionals.
Okay.
2 arts professionals.
Okay.
That'll come later, the
I'm looking up
artists.
for his name. He's the guy that owns that Canvas and Paper, that little private
Oh, yeah.
Who
art
it is?
gallery. His name,
He worked for Ojai Valley School, right?
Is it Alex?
So you and
yes,
Michael.
Alex,
This is the lady that.
Alex is the lady, yeah.
Yeah.
oh, God, I just,
What's the name of the gallery? I'm going to put that down.
Canvas and
Canvas and
Paper.
paper.
I don't even know who it is, I just know.
Okay, canvas and paper guy. That's good. We'll know who you mean.
Very knowledgeable about art and, yeah.
Michael, do you have 2 art professionals? Do you have any nominations?
Stephen Edwards and Doug Lochner.
Steve Edwards and Doug Lochner.
It has to be public art, you're saying?
Well, Lochner certainly has public art experience.
Yeah. I like everybody that's always been suggested. It's just an artist, do they have to have, I guess Carmen.
They do not have to be an artist. This category is not an artist. It's an arts professional.
Okay, I would put Carmen on that list.
Carmen, on that list? I wouldn't call her an art professional. She's an artist. Put her in the artist list.
Oh, I thought this was the artist.
No, there are 3 categories. We need 2 arts professionals. We need 2 community members at large. We need 1 artist. So Carmen would go on that list. When I come back, I'm doing each category at a time here. Okay, so now I'll do myself. And I put on either Lisa or Heather from Porch Gallery, one of the 2. I put on either Susan Amend or Richard. And I put on Christy Sebastian, if she's still in Ojai, I think she is, and Anka Colbert. Those are all arts professionals.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's quite a long list. All right. Now, the second category is 2 community members at large. Now, maybe I'll go first, and that'll give you a better idea of what we're talking about. I added to this list Anna Cho Wagner. She's a community member at large. She also led the whole mural thing over at Libby Bowl, so I think she'd be someone we could look at. Dawn Shook, who is the head of the Realtors. She's a community member at large. Jamie Fleming, is a community member at large. And it turns out Jamie Fleming has extensive art background, which I didn't know until I talked to him. So let's start at this end. Linda, do you have anyone you want to add as a community member at large?
How about, Wendy Barker?
Mm-hmm.
Wendy Barker.
Yep, that's good.
Fabulous. Anyone else? Okay, Michael?
Peggy Lucera
Mm-hmm.
Peggy?
and Ms. Wyrick. What's her first?
Oh, Cynthia Wyrick.
Cynthia Wyrick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fabulous. Is there I believe that she can't do it because of Bill, because she couldn't do it, another thing we wanted her on.
Conflict.
There was a conflict because of Bill. I'll put her down and you'll find
I
out.
don't think so. She
I
couldn't
don't
be on the
think so.
commission
She
because of
couldn't be on
Bill.
the commission,
But I think she's,
but I think
that's
she
like
could
a,
certainly
Well,
be
she
on
was
an
on an
ad
ad
hoc committee.
hoc.
she was on our ad
Yeah.
hoc, so,
Well, let's look into it.
All right.
yeah.
Uh,
I can't think of
That's
adding
okay.
anyone. I think we've got good ideas.
Misty Hall, the former editor of the paper.
Misty Hall.
Mm-hmm. Young person. Meredy Benson Rice, former head of Oak Grove School.
Meredy Benson Rice.
Mm-hmm. And then Dennis Rice, her husband.
And Dennis Rice.
Are they related?
And married.
They're married. Her husband.
Okay.
How do we pick one and not the other?
That's not that hard.
Your wife's accepted?
I want to add to my list, because I asked him tonight, and that is Stuart Crowner, but I would, his wife, and I don't recall,
Kyle.
Kyle Crowner. Okay. This is excellent. The last category, and we only need one on the jury, and that is artist. Now, I'll give you mine again first, just to kind of get you in the right place. I nominated Gail Childress, Linda Taylor.
I thought you just said one. Oh, one name or?
We're nominating for the Public Art Committee to go and find out, are they available?
Yeah, but how many names do you want from us?
As many
As
you
many as you
you want.
would like us to look into, because some people are going to
one.
say, I don't want to do it, or I'm not available.
Right.
Then we're going to come back to you with a slate.
of who's available.
Okay, so Roger Conrad I put on that list. I put Bobby Balderman on that list, and I put Mark Whitman on that list.
Carmen on that list.
And we'll put Carmen on that list.
And Shahastra, I would put her on that list.
And Ted Nava on the list.
That's a good idea.
Who?
Ted Nava.
Ted Nava?
That's good.
I just want to make a comment. If someone's on the jury, they can't apply to do a box.
Oh,
Just letting you know.
That's for them to figure out.
Well,
But we can't presume in advance that they're going to want to
Right,
do it.
right.
we can't, but it's a thought.
Yes.
Yeah. Marcy, anybody for the artist?
No, I can't really add to that.
I would move Leslie from the artist professional to the artist, Leslie Clark. And Hallie, too.
Leslie Clark, move Leslie to the
I
artist
think
thing.
that's more.
And
appropriate.
also move
Hallie Katz.
Sally's both, though.
She is both.
Alley Katz to the artist box. Okay. So we have a whole lot of names. Thank you very much. And the Public Art Committee will meet and we'll divvy up. And the job is going to be to make a contact with each name to find out,
emails.
are they interested, to kind of give them the idea that it's a one-meeting deal, what they'll be doing. Are they interested and are they available in April? We anticipate, I don't know when in April, because
First
we'd
2
like the
weeks.
painting.
First 2 weeks in
Probably the
April.
first 2 weeks, but,
Yeah.
you know, it's the RFP has to go out, so.
We'll see.
That's
Okay.
what the Public Art Committee will do. And then what we'll do is we'll come back to you with a roster, and based on the conversations, we may, you're not beholden to it, but we may recommend because some people you call, they're very excited. They can't wait. Other people are kind of like, wah. So we may come back with recommendations, but ultimately, 7 people will make
Okay.
the determination of who's on the jury.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, done. Let's move on. We have one item left on the agenda. The City Gallery Committee. Is there a report, please, Marcy?
Well, we had our reception tonight for James Petrucci. And
And a
I
very
think
nice
everyone
reception, too. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I wish we had more attendance, but apparently we have a conflict with the chamber mixer is on the third Thursday of every month. Our Arts Commission meetings have forever been on the third Thursday of every month, so I can't see adjusting our schedule to accommodate the chamber.
This one was a week early because of Thanksgiving.
Oh, so it's not usually the third Thursday? Okay, fine, great, okay. Right, well, we're third Thursday and we're sticking
We're
with it.
sticking to it, right.
We went over the schedule, the calendar, and Linda and I have been, we have all of your recommendations for potential artists to display in City Gallery, and we're gonna go visit 3 studios and then pick one for January. We want to get January out of the way, because that's coming up real soon, so we're going to see, all right, we're not gonna talk about who we're gonna see, all right.
Okay?
Oh, and you could tell them about James' show at the museum. It looks very nice.
Oh, James Petrucci has a show also at the museum, which is spectacular. It's very impressive, and
Yeah.
the city, this was one of our purchases last year, was a James Petrucci piece, and we're very happy because I don't know, we think that it's going to really go up in value. It's not really something we consider that much, but we can afford them now, and I don't know if we'll be able to afford them in the future, so we got it.
Yeah, the exhibit at the museum is really powerful because his paintings have so much energy in them, and in that shaped space in the museum, it's very, very
With proper
effective.
lighting,
Yeah.
and to get stark white walls, it's
Very
just a
nice.
different experience than
Yeah.
our gallery, but,
Okay, well, thank you. So let's go on to number 7, informational items, future agenda items. I do want us to begin talking about the Hope Fraser Award. We'll take into account the recommendation from Christine that we go through this list, and we'll come back to all of you with new list for possible Hope Fraser awardees for next year. We didn't award one this year. It's been a sort of alternate year process, so I think it's probable that in 2020 we'll want to have a Lifetime Achievement Award and a Hope Fraser Award. Certainly there are lots of potential nominees. Let's see, reports on projects subject to public art requirements. Do you have anything for us, Joe, on that? Anything new in that area?
Nothing really new.
Okay.
We have the 601 Pearl project, which should be paying their in lieu fee.
They are going to pay it? Is that what you're
That-
saying?
Yes, that one I understand was
Oh,
approved.
fabulous.
Good.
So they have some other technical issues they're working on with their project, so it's not going to be for quite a while. I mean, I shouldn't say quite maybe a few months.
Do you have a printout of, usually I do a pretty thorough job of looking at the printout, and I didn't get a packet, and I don't have a printout.
Why
to
don't
look
you
at.
and Joe get together between now and the next meeting and talk about that so that we get the information that
Absolutely.
Joe can see available and that we can
Absolutely.
all have it
Same thing with the
available.
Public Art Fund, because there have been errors on it in the past, so we'd like to get a copy, because
Sure.
I do a little
We can meet
you know,
early next week.
type A check.
Perfect. And
Thank you, Joe. I'll email you.
Please do.
Okay.
And
Any report on the Public Art Fund? We've just, I guess, covered that. The joint meeting with the City Council, I presume that will be sometime in the new year?
correct.
Okay.
We don't have that scheduled, but we will schedule something soon.
And December meeting, we all, I think, accept the fact that we typically don't meet in December because we have the pleasures and the gourmet delights of the Commissioner's Appreciation Dinner to look forward to, right? Right.
That's correct.
Okay.
However, I may be reaching out to the commission to see if we can do a special meeting early in December for the inn.
Another one?
A meeting of the whole commission to deal with that?
Well, because we would need a recommendation to the council as well, and they only have one meeting in December of this year.
Okay.
Why?
So
I have a question. Why do we always do this? It seems like every time we have a special meeting, it's because of the inn. Is there a problem that we don't know about? Did something come up, or?
well, they always plan to do their work the first week or so of January. Well, so.
And they're always late in getting the request and the information to
requests
us.
And information.
So we go through this every year.
Yes. That is my understanding as well.
All right, so if necessary, we'll have a 10-minute meeting to deal with that.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
All right. Let's talk also about the January meeting. I'm going to be out of the country at the scheduled time for the January meeting. Would the commission be willing to meet on the fourth Thursday of January instead of the third Thursday?
I don't have a problem with it.
Yes.
Any objections?
Let me just look really quick.
The first,
I mean, I don't have my calendar in front of me, but
About
I'll
it's the,
January 9th?
I'll
No,
make it work.
no, it'd be the fourth Thursday, which I think would
Oh,
be
the
the
fourth Thursday,
23rd
A
or
week
something
later.
like that, a
The
week
23rd.
later, 23rd.
Sure.
23rd.
Okay,
That looks good.
good, okay.
Do we have to vote on that or not?
I don't think so, no. The remaining thing I'd like to call to your attention, but it wasn't on the agenda because it came late, and that's my fault, is that I've circulated to you all some revised committee assignments, and that was trying to balance out people's responsibilities and so on. There aren't that many changes, but there are some. If anybody has any objections, please contact me by email and we'll make adjustments,
Well,
okay?
I have a comment.
Yes, comment.
I just think this is fabulous.
Good,
I love that there are less total committees.
yeah, yeah.
It just seems to me that it makes, I like that we're calling it publicity and promotion. It makes such sense. And to put together, I don't know whose idea that was, City Gallery Museum and Acquisition, but it makes such sense.
Well, it does, given the way it's all interrelated.
Yeah,
And
I
so
just,
that's why
it
Marcy and I
really
came up
looks
with-
good.
Yeah, good. You'll notice that there is, I think the music committee is listed on there, or did I
No.
not? I didn't list that, but I was going to, and Nigel not being here, I don't want to spill the beans, but he has some exciting ideas that he wants to bring to the commission for new ventures in the world of music. So I think we may be forming a music
Oh,
committee.
that sounds great.
And I've also asked Andy, as a new member of the commission, to bring forward any ideas he has, given his interest, his background, et cetera, because I think the commission is now fully formed. We have I think, a very strong commission, and I think to undertake some new ventures would be generative in terms of energy and so on. So
Yeah.
we look forward to that from Andy and Nigel.
And Michael, I don't know where this would go, maybe under future agenda items, but I'm hoping, especially since we have new people, that sooner than later, we could have an off-campus workshop where, I know James Vega and I have always talked about in-servicing everybody on the art ordinance, because we vote constantly on the art ordinance, and there's really a need for a thorough understanding
Yeah,
of
that's a
it.
very good idea.
So, and there's,
We'll do
it's
that.
not just that, there's so many other things
Yeah.
that other people.
No, that's a very good idea. I've just written that down, and we'll add that to
Thank
what we're
you.
going to move forward with. I guess we're at commissioner reports and comments at this point. Andy, do you have anything to report? Christine, you just made a great suggestion. We'll follow up on that. Marcy, anything?
I'm good.
I do have a little bit of a museum report. I
Great.
met with museum representatives, and Marcy and I did at the museum with Wendy Barker, and went through the collection, and they've tentatively picked like 7 pieces
Oh, right.
that they're looking at. And they haven't made their final determination yet because there's still some things in flux. Once they look at what they want, we look at it. We're talking about rotating some items out of the city gallery that have been there for a while, just to refresh it.
Good.
And so there may be some changes coming forward, but
That's good. Yeah, I've been getting a behind-the-scenes report on all that from Susan, who's involved, so.
I just wanted to
Yeah,
let
that's-
everybody know.
that's a great
It's
project.
finally moving ahead, and they're great to work with, so I
Yep,
don't
yep,
anticipate
it's good.
any
It's
problems.
good. And now, to round out the evening, we have a report from our council liaison. Susan.
Souza.
I don't have a council report, but I have some comments, if I may. First of all, you
liaison.
are definitely the most entertaining commission, and I'm glad there's 7 of you, because you will recall, I was never in favor of reducing the others, and as I feared last night, there was only 3 planning commissioners, and they had a lot of important things to work on.
And they didn't have a quorum.
Wait a minute. They did have a quorum because
Out of
there's only five.
because they
Only
they
five.
push it
Yeah.
down to five.
Yes.
Okay.
Ooh, we missed it.
Sorry.
Okay, so, about changing the date, check on that there's no park and rec or other
Yes, Joe is
meeting.
going to check on that.
Oh, okay. All right, I don't have to worry about everything, do I? So I have this may be very sensitive, but how do you select the art for the chamber? How long does it stay up? And have you ever sat in this, do you sit and look at it for a couple hours or 3 hours to see the effect it would have on the audience? I guess what I'm trying to say is that sometimes there are, not just me, but members of the public have said that I'm sure there's a wide variety of taste, and I know this is delicate, but how do I say this, Ray? Help me out here. Some of it is just a little bit strange to look at for 3 hours.
I guess the answer to that is to close your eyes every now and again and
Well,
refresh
it's not
your
me, I'm sitting over
sensibilities.
there.
No, but for example, if you're sitting there for watching a whole city council, and you would say, what's the connotation of the work that you see right here? And you would say, it's like provocative, but it's also sort of jarring, or it's disturbing in a way. Not to say it's
Yeah.
not beautiful, but it's
It's a little bit disturbing and jarring.
But art can be disturbing.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
It's a representation of the city gallery. We put pieces in here that are in the city gallery. And we try to make a mix of work that's representative of the artists in the valley, and we try to keep a high caliber. And it's subjective. I mean, we choose artists that haven't been shown before.
The seven of you who make the selection, or
Gallery
There's a
committee
committee.
selections.
the
So,
gallery
for instance,
committee?
James Petrucci is the featured artist in City Gallery.
Uh-huh.
So this easel and that spot up there, those are James Petrucci pieces, and he selected what he wanted
In this room.
to go up there, and he felt that, in light of what happens in this room, that if you look at from it with a sense of humor,
Yes, that's true.
the exploding head. You know. I watch the
yes,
city council
exactly.
meetings. I see
Yeah.
all the back and forth, makes your head want to explode.
Oh, all right.
And you can also, Sammy posted a nice article about his work on the Facebook page that kind of talks about it. And he's done a whole collection of work called Passages, and they're supposed to be a collective. It's sort of like symbolic for the collective experiences we have that we carry with us as we grow in the world. I mean,
All right.
I-
To each his own.
Well,
Okay?
I'd like to make a comment.
I guess I'm the kind that would like, something beautiful and uplifting, because this room is pretty dreary, if you ask me. If I had my druthers.
But
we
there are
rotate.
those of us who would argue that this work is beautiful and uplifting.
Oh, yes, okay.
May I
Okay,
make a
accept
comment?
that.
It's
yeah.
colorful.
May I make a
Yes.
comment?
Yes.
I would
Listen,
ask.
I don't,
I would
want-
ask that
yeah.
this is something that we talk about at our workshop, because we need a philosophy of what City Gallery is. And in the past, when I was in charge of City Gallery, what was passed down to me from Bernadette DiPietro was to take great care that City Hall is not a true gallery, and that we've been granted space. And we took great care in what we put in this room, knowing how hot, and I don't mean the weather, it can get with people here in this room.
And a
So I
broad
think that the
audience.
seven of us,
Yeah.
it would be well for us to have a discussion about what our philosophy is and what it is we're doing. It's changed greatly. We used to get an article in the paper about the artist, and it's all different now. And really without having seven people talk about why it changed. So I would encourage us to have that conversation. I think it'd be worthwhile to have it. And I'm thank you for bringing it up.
Yes, and I realize it's delicate and very individual and all that, but I'm airing out things I've heard, as well as my own feelings. So, you may not know this about me, but my mother's maiden name is Vermeer, and I have a genealogy book, and I think we're descendants And my father was a wonderful artist.
Wow.
And I always thought I was going to be an artist, and then I became a writer.
Sousa,
Yeah.
if you've watched what we put up, it does change. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
We have had
It's gonna change.
landscapes.
Yeah.
We have a lot, we've had student work up here. We try to do a broad base of work. So if people have an objection to it, I would ask.
Oh, I wouldn't say that they have any strong objection. They just wonder after. Sometimes they're here from 7 o'clock, waiting their turn till 11 o'clock at night, and so they're bound to notice.
Yeah.
And you know, so
They could always come in or they could look at the website, they could look up the artists. I mean, it's there for them to react to. So I think that they're reacting is a positive thing.
yeah.
I don't think it's a
I
negative
think it's
thing.
good if you have a discussion amongst
I
yourselves.
think when we have a workshop,
Yeah.
that could be a subject of conversation.
Yeah. Do you? And is it?
The defining issue is that we are an arts commission and we serve the arts in Ojai. And I think it would be, and this is maybe just my personal position, but I think it would be a great mistake to start putting constraints on the art that we can display in the city gallery. As long as we continue to call it a gallery, that is to say that it displays the work of artists, then I think it has to be driven by what we think is quality work that merits display.
Yeah.
in the
That's.
city.
I trust your judgment. You know, as you're, and there's 7 of you. You can. Between you, I'm sure you'll work it out. Okay, I wanted to ask you about the tour you were talking about. Is that a walking tour?
Yeah.
It sounds great. Yeah. So I thought I approve of most of everything that you did. Thank you. Do you have anything you want to ask me?
Send money.
Send money? Well, I'm.
We want your support at our next budget.
No, and also when you you're going to
For the
redistribute
budget transfer, yeah.
the transfer, yeah.
We'd really appreciate your support on that.
Oh yes, you're going to get my support on that. Yeah, definitely. All righty. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for
I
coming,
really appreciate
Susan. It was
it.
so nice to see a
Oh,
city
you know, I
council
love these
member here.
meetings.
Love to see
I
your
watched
smiling
the other one,
face.
and I was sick. I had something in the eye. I watched it on my laptop. So, and no meeting next month.
No.
No,
So I'll see you at the Christmas dinner.
at the party.
Yeah, we'll have fun. Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Did we vote? Did we vote?
Well, we didn't vote, but
We didn't vote, but we said it's tradition. Well, should we vote?
I think we have to.
Oh, Joe, oh,
Joe
okay.
said we didn't have to.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
like Joe.
This
Is it-
meeting is adjourned.